The
We're
picture.
live.
We're live. Hello.
Hello, we are live on Zoom. Shocking, we're a couple minutes late. Um, so hi there. It's Transit Talk Fridays edition. So hope everybody is doing well. The transit literally just changed like 10, 12 minutes ago. So like my little transit report didn't even post until 10 minutes ago. So some of you might not even know that we are doing this yet because I did not post the event until last night when I realized, shocking, that I had not posted it again. So it's all perfect, right? That's our motto here. And so today we are talking about the sun in gate 51 and the earth in gate 57. So Jess, are you
Hello.
arousing us today?
Yes, yes, I'm trying to pull up the image right now. See, ta-da. Okay, we're good. I have my image. Am I
Awesome.
shocking?
Shocking.
I would totally do this, though. I would wear this out.
Right?
I would. So, gate of shock. The thing I was trying to go for was like electrocuted, and I started with like some hairspray and like kind of trying to make my hair go up, but it's very like it's a lot softer and it doesn't really want to stay up. So I was like, okay, we'll use some support in this shocking hair.
Okay. It's all good, right? It's all just about
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
So I am representing the most intuitive gate in the chart, right?
Mhm.
Gate 57 is said to be where the most, it's on the spleen center and it's all about the future and it connects us to oh, look, Leslie's here. Yay. Letting Leslie in. So thought I was so cool because I did my little one earring thing to represent that gate 57 is all about the right ear. But then feel like I have to choose because my background makes it disappear. But for those of you who don't get the disco ball reference, I have a big disco ball in my window. And when I'm talking and the light shines it like on my mouth or my throat, I always call it the disco ball oracle, saying that it is saying, yes, this is the right thing. Keep speaking. So I played on that whole thing. Plus, I love my little disco ball earrings. So I will tell you for future reference, if you ever want to wear disco ball jewelry of any sort, be careful when you are driving in the sunshine because you will blind people. So if you care about your future, do not hang a disco ball from your rearview mirror or put one on your ear while you're driving, unless and even in the nighttime, I would imagine that a headlight could do that as well. So that's all about it. And I tried to be like a little bit like feeling like a medium, but I didn't dare try to do a turban or I'd have been still trying to figure out how to get it to not slip off my head. And so the whole psychic medium thing and the gentle, that gate is called the gentle, right? So I wore something kind of soft and flowy and that whole thing. So, um, and Leslie, I'm glad to see that you're here. Feel free to come on camera with us, but you're welcome if you just want to hang out in the background as well. I realize it's early by you. No, it's not. I don't know. I don't know what time it is. It's it's not early anywhere except for to me because I think everything before 2 o'clock in the afternoon is early to me. Projector energy, right? I don't know. There are some projectors who are morning people. I am not one of them. So,
Funny. Meanwhile, I've been up since like 6.
I saw you already walked down to the beach and showed your little live about being at the beach, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I am also going to check to see if the live is showing okay in the group. I'm assuming it's here and that's how you got here, right, Leslie? Um, So, do you want to start out since you're the sun? Do you want to start out talking about the arousing?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Leslie says, Zoom says I'm in the waiting room. Got you. Perfect. Okay.
Because you're in the waiting room.
Of you. So let's take a look at the transits. So where are we right now? So
Oh, that's weird. Let me
51.
fix this. I thought I admitted her. What happened? Did I? I'm gonna get you, Leslie. Don't worry. Why is it everything keeps covering it up? All right. I hope I didn't just stop the stream.
Nope, it looks like we're still,
Because
but
I
it's
just closed out
black.
a window thing that I didn't mean to close out. Okay.
All the things.
Mercury retrograde, it's at its tail end and it's going hard. Like the last 2 days have been very Mercury retrograde for me. That's
Yes,
the term.
absolutely.
That's the adjective version of Mercury retrograde is Mercury retrograde.
Love it. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's see. So right now we literally just went into the activation for 51. And so that is the sun energy right now that we are feeling. So where is the 51? If you look over here, this is on the ego center. And we also currently have the 25 defined. So if you do not normally have the G center defined and the ego center defined, this is something that you're feeling the energy of right now with the current transits that we have. So the 51 is arousing. It's also known as the gate of shock, shocking hair, electrocuted hair, right? And then we've got the 57 that Kathy was talking about. So that's the earth, the grounding right now. And the 57 is down over here on the splenic center.
Okay.
Share. Let's see, what do I want to share today about the 51? So, when you think about shock, so Ra had the 51. So he loved to shock people, with his information and his sharing. There's this beauty to energy of the shock that I got to experience through Layla. And I remember she was talking to someone and she said something really beautiful where she was like, I'm very mindful to see if somebody has the 51 in their chart. And I'm very mindful of the way in which I share things with people so that it isn't too shocking. And it was just so beautiful to hear her talk about this. So, Layla,
Remind people who don't know Layla who
oh,
Layla
I'm
is.
so
You,
sorry.
you
Yeah.
tend to you throw
Layla,
out first names
I,
like we all like everybody watching knows all of your
if
circle,
you
right?
don't know Layla, you need to know Layla. She is just such a phenomenal human. She's just amazing. Absolutely love her. So Layla Gazelle, thank you for reminding me because I'm like, everybody knows everybody, right? We're
Right?
friends
I
here.
love Layla, but I just,
Yeah.
need to make sure people know.
Who, yeah. So
Yes.
she shared at the
She's
Human
a
Design
manifester.
Conference. She was in Ibiza as well, manifester who also has the 51. And the way she spoke to it was just so, so beautiful and felt so good for me. So when we're looking at the energy of shock, like what are we doing with shock? What is this purpose? What is the energy that we're feeling in our lives right now? Like for me right now, I'm feeling pretty shocked that like my hair didn't do what I wanted it to do, right? It's that shock of like, ah, and feeling that in your body. But it's to bring this energy of change to get you out of like that state of complacency where it's like I'm doing things the same way. It's to start to like move you, right? And in the gene keys, the shadow of it is the agitation. And then the gift is I wrote it down in a pen that didn't have a whole bunch of ink. Okay, here it is. Initiative. No, I mean, like, look at this. It's like, um, and then for the highest expression, the city is that awakening state. So, kind of being mindful of like, where am I feeling right now? Because in shock, we have that external shock, like the cosmic weather, what we're feeling right now. But there's also that piece inside of us where agitation's a really beautiful word for this, and sitting and feeling, where is this within me? And Richard Rudd speaks to this one and he talks about like meditation. When we start to meditate and we go, okay, I'm going to come within, I'm going to do this thing. And suddenly you're like, boom, there's the mind. And it's so busy and it's talking and it's thinking. And you're like, what is this, all this agitation? And you start to sit with it and notice where like our natural state is in this state of agitation. You start to sit with it and work through it and see how busy your mind is, how busy all the stories that are coming up, all this agitation within you that a lot of times we either numb and we try to avoid and not think and be present with it, or we try and fix it or do something. So the thing we're being asked with this energy is like, how can I sit with this agitation within me? Leslie said, my birthday's on Sunday, and someone once told me that truth without tact is cruelty, which, hold on, I lost the rest of it.
Hmm.
Um,
Leslie, do you want to unmic and just tell us? It's probably easier since you appear to be driving. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, no, I've always been one of those people who's like, it's the truth. And that's, if that's a problem for you, that's not my problem, which I realize is it, at halfway to 98, there's a better way to say that with people. But long before I knew about my human design, I've always felt this activation. And after having this lens of understanding of myself, I was like, oh, there's a different way to leverage this very undeniable energy that kind of just flows to me and through me. And, tact is a practice, but truth is kind of just my jam.
Yeah.
yeah.
And Leslie, for people who don't know, and remind me, because Leslie was on one of my earliest, like in the beginning of the podcast, you were one of the early guests on there. And I know you're a Manny Jen, and I think you're emotional. No?
3-5 emotional management, cross of
Okay. I knew
penetration.
there was a fifth line in there somewhere. I was trying to remember what it was. You're definitely, you can feel that fifth line gate 51 energy when you're around you, right? And it's something that I've come to really appreciate. But yeah, it can be it can be arousing in some ways that's, because of that whole fifth line, it has those two extreme, although you're not a fifth line in gate 51, you're a third line in 50 in right? Because that's your conscious sun.
Right.
Yeah. So interesting. So I feel like this, Jess knows because we had a chat yesterday. I feel like this really speaks to how I was feeling yesterday. And I know yesterday we were still in the 21, but that sixth line is always pointing towards the next thing, right? And so for me, it was really about how am I regulating, self-regulating, right? Is what quantum human design calls gate 21, the gate of self-regulation. And I really felt that yesterday. I was on a real low in my wave. And there were so many like these kind of moments that just like brought in these huge things for me and maybe for other people. Maybe they didn't get it, but they felt it, right? It was that kind of energy yesterday where I really felt that moving through me, and it needed to, there was stuff that had to awaken and come out, and it took the strongest moments in the day to really get me to move that energy, right? Sometimes we just sit in something until something's like this to us, right? So, so by the way, happy birthday a little early.
Thank you.
So,
And thank you for appreciating that about me, Kathy, because not everyone has and always does. So
but none of us are for everyone though, right, Leslie? And that's so,
that shit would be exhausting.
yeah. And I think, that's my whole peach ice cream story that I've told before, but I don't know. If we all try to be, for everybody, then we're going to have a world of vanilla ice cream and just be the damn best peach ice cream. Some people hate peach. Oh, well, they can go get something else. But if we try to tone down our peachness because some people are like, oh, you're too peachy, then we have a world of vanilla. And there's nothing wrong with vanilla unless the whole world is vanilla. So you be you, Peachy.
Yes.
Thanks,
Yes.
Although
lady.
Leslie, I don't think I'd call you Peach. I'd call you something much bolder than that.
Jalapeno. I love jalapeno.
Yes, your
Jalapeno
jalapeno ice cream.
margaritas are to die for. Passion fruit jalapeno margaritas, like that is,
That's a
love
thing we're gonna have to get in Austin, right?
it. Yes. At the
We can find something like
Don't
that,
get
right?
me started. I will giggle for the next 10 minutes about
Okay,
Cosmic Pickle on Pickle Road.
so we're all going. So anybody who lives in Austin, Jess and I are gonna be at the Cosmic Pickle on Pickle Road for the Austin Human Design Meetup. And I forget what time. What time is it? It's in the afternoon. I don't know. We'll be there.
Oh, yeah. Don't
So,
don't ask me
okay.
times. Don't
Leslie,
don't
you can drive on over, right? How many hours is it from Colorado? Just kidding.
Yeah, that's probably I make a great margarita, so I'll probably stay here, but maybe I'll cheers you.
Yes,
There you go.
we can do that. We
Awesome.
can Zoom you in. We can do like some FaceTime.
There you go.
We'll
A
do
virtual happy hour. I'm down.
a little live
Oh,
from there.
I love that.
So
We should do that sometime. But yeah, so back to the 51
back to the
energy.
51. Yeah.
So
So
yeah, exactly like Leslie said, right? This is the willpower, right? There is an enormous amount of energy there. There's almost, like, am I ready to go into battle with this, with my truth that I'm here to share? And just really following your strategy and authority with this, right? Is this the right thing for me? Honoring that you're moving through this place where you have this agitation within you. You start sitting with this agitation and you start to feel that in your body. Actually, let's do that real quick. Leslie, please don't close your eyes while you're driving, but just start to feel like right now, let's just like tune in and take a deep breath in your nose and let it out. Breathe in your nose again, out. Notice the rising and the falling of your chest as you breathe in and out. Starting to feel in your body right now. Where am I feeling this agitation? What is agitating in my life right now? Where am I feeling this friction in my life? And starting to find that space within you and bringing love to it and just sitting with it, noticing it. And now noticing the stories and what's coming up. What is your mind saying about this? When you sit in this space, is there an urge to numb, to run away? Is there an urge to do something else, to go and check social media, to go and read the book, to go and do anything and be anywhere except where you are right now, sitting with this agitation? Or is there potentially a feeling of, I need to fix this, I need to change this? And just breathing in, centering back in, breathing in your nose, out your mouth. Right now, all we need is that awareness. We're just sitting with the agitation inside of us and starting to notice, what is our mind saying? What are the stories? What is coming up? And starting to be the witness of these stories. Not getting caught in the middle of it, but just observing. Sitting with this agitation within you. And this is how we start to shift it, bringing in this awareness. We're going to take a deep cleansing breath. Whatever's ready to move, you're going to breathe in and let it out. Whatever's ready to come out, whatever's ready to move in that moment. I'm just going to start to come back and feeling and noticing that agitation within us right now, right? So we all have these different things that are there, that are present. When we take that time to check in and say, what is our body telling us? What is it sharing with us right now, this agitation? And it might not feel pleasant at first, but there's a gift in it. And finding what is the gift. And the key to working through this is, again, coming to that initiative. What am I going to start to do? But this is a very individual initiative. And this is where the programming partner, this is where the other gate comes in, the 57, the intuitive, right? The intuitive knowledge, because this gate is not looking for an answer to my agitation going, who else can answer this for me? How has somebody else done that? That's coming back to, where's your power? Is your power outside of you or inside of you, right? And it's coming back to, once I get calm enough and come within myself and I find this agitation, then letting myself sit with it and letting that 57 step into that intuition of, how do I uniquely move through this, right? We all collectively, we have the agitation, right? And on the other side, we have that awakening, but to move through, finding what is our way we move through and letting that come through us of, how am I starting to move this? How am I starting to shift it? And so if you want to share a little bit about that 57.
yeah, I was just opening up the comments again because I realized I had closed them. I do want to say one more thing about the 51 too, because I was looking at it as we were talking to Leslie, and I was noticing, and I don't think I've seen this before, but there are actually 3 lines that have the sun exalted in this. And I mean, I think I've seen 2, but have you seen 3 before?
No.
So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. But Leslie is one of the exalted lines with the 51-3.
Leslie.
And that one is called adaptation, the life-sustaining awareness that thinks on its feet and thus creates opportunities, the power of spontaneity in times of challenge. So I thought that was interesting. I can see that in you because you're very you feel like somebody like that if stuff was if shit was hitting the fan, I would look to you for it, I'd follow you,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'd follow Leslie.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what Leslie was saying, the way in which we interact with this agitation, because a lot of times we come to this agitation and there's this piece of like victimhood or this need to like blame someone else or finding this little bit of like harshness with the agitation and moving through it, but coming to that empowered place of stepping into that gentle, really connecting in with that energy of the gentleness, the energy of the creative. How do
Yeah.
I creatively move through this uniquely through my inspiration?
So the gate 57 is known as the gentle. It's also the gate of intuitive insight. And it's also called the gate of intuition, I think, in quantum human design. And or the intuitive, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not looking at all the stuff in front of me. I always feel like I'm going to write down stuff and then I forget where I put it to grab it in front of the other thing. So, um, the it's this auditory inner ear acoustic energy that asks us to tune into our deepest, like it's a melancholy, it's a it's part of the it's like the to me it feels like it's the seat of the integrative circuit. It's part of it. I don't know if it's ever technically called that, but to me I feel it is because it's the only gate I have of the integration circuit. So for me it very much is. And it's really interesting as I was contemplating this energy yesterday that I realized how, like, I've always known that it was a bridging gate for my husband. It's one of his small splits. And he has the whole rest of the integration circuit. So I realized something yesterday because as Jess knows, but nobody else knows yet, is I was in a real emotional low yesterday. And I've gotten to a point in my experiment that I know when I'm in emotional low, the last people I want to be in aura with are my husband or my daughter because they are not in their experiments and they are not able to regulate when my emotional wave is still not something I've got a full, like I felt very dysregulated, and it was nice when I talked to you, Jess, yesterday, and you were like, "You're really regulating this dysregulation," because I'm very aware, I'm observing it, right, and I'm looking at it that way. But there were points where I felt like I had done the things that had gotten me to where I was really like, I'm feeling so much better. This is really moving. And then I got to where I was home and I was in my kitchen with my daughter, who has only the hanging gate 49 on her solar plexus, and my husband who has completely open solar plexus, right? And I knew I didn't want to talk to him about the thing that was now bothering me a little bit, still a decision I needed to get clarity on that because I was already in a low was hard for me. And I still told him the thing because it was something I felt like I wanted a little compassion for my feelings. And I got logical, well, what did you say to them? Why did they act that way? Instead of, oh, I'm sorry you're feeling this way, right? And I realized what I was trying to do was integrate and bring this all in. And so I just gravitated towards him for that energy, which would have been fine if I sat next to him and kept my mouth shut or journaled or something. But once I started to say what was going on, it was amplified so much just in the energy behind the words he had, right? So, because that solar plexus came in. So I really realized this whole, and then I got into my fears of the future, my all this shadow energy of the gate 57 kind of came in that moment. And I was like, wow, okay, this, yeah, let's just walk away. And as I'm walking away, I, of course, had to, because we're all still human, right? And I had to say, I don't know why thought I could say, ask for something to maybe make me feel better with the two of you, because that doesn't happen. And I was like, and I walked away. But um, because my daughter's response when I started to be bothered, she's like, why don't you two just go into different rooms? And I said, because that doesn't solve anything. We're trying to have a conversation. She's like, yeah, it doesn't feel good. I'm like, okay, right? Okay. So this whole idea of the 57 and the gentle, right? It's the gentle. It's not, I can see the future. I have my thing and I'm going to hit you over the head with it, like Leslie talked about a little bit with the 59, right? These are programming partners for a reason, because the arousing comes there. And that's was like that energy also, it comes into play very much in my relationship with my husband, because he has the hanging gate 25, and that bridges one of my splits. So, because I have the 51 as my design Jupiter. So both of these energies are unconscious for me, right? They're both in my body, but the 57 is my core wound. It's my design Mars. And for those of you who have studied um, the core wound at all, you know that the line that it's in gives it a flavor, one of 6 flavors for that wound. And mine is rejection, the core wound of rejection, which is such a great thing for a projector too, right? So, and it's really interesting as you get deeper into your experiment and you start to really realize that everything is teaching you the same things. And my chart is all teaching me, how do I stand firm and gently in who I am in a loving, supportive way that does not falter, does not give in, does not imitate, copy, dim my light in any way, but still allows the people I'm in relationship with to do the same.
Mhm.
And that is such a conundrum at times, right? Like there are times where, that there's times that it's like you feel like the only way to be able to really still stand firm in who you are is to smack somebody over the head with it, right? They're standing firm in who they are. And then it's this whole idea of the tit for tat, the right or wrong. And I feel like this energy is such a beautiful energy of like of just being aroused into some new shocking thing in this gentle grounding energy is it's a conundrum, right?
All about the experience, right? Like how you go through that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just wanted to share, it was so funny when you're talking, there were people knocking. I watched them walk up the driveway and I was like, I should answer and shock them. Say hello with my hair. Um,
Hi, Leslie. Oh, she already hopped off. Okay.
Okay. Just for anybody who is wondering, it's interesting because with the fourth line, so I'm a 4/6, the fourth line, the fear there is also rejection. But for your Mars placement, so if you are so in your Mars, if you look in your unconscious Mars and then you look at, so you have the gate and then the period and then you have the line. So we're talking about, Kathy was talking about the line there. And so her line, is rejection, which is the 4. So if you have the first, it's the trauma of suppression. Why can I not say this word? Suppression.
It's suppressed.
You're suppressed. The trauma of suppression. There we go. If you've got a second line, it's the trauma of denial. The third is the trauma of shame. So that's the one I have. The fourth is the trauma of rejection. And then the fifth is the trauma of guilt. And then the sixth is the trauma of separation. So potentially looking at, in your unconscious Mars, how that's showing up for you. And then I saw in the chat, let's see. Deanne says, "Oh my, I have both of these gates." Love that. And they're beautiful energies. Where do you have them in your chart?
I don't see Deanne's comment. That's interesting that you're seeing that
On
on the Facebook Live.
mhm,
Yeah, no, it's not showing for me. Huh.
surprise.
Yeah, that's
That's
weird.
shocking.
Huh.
So, yeah, so looking at, where is this oh yeah, Leslie said she's got a hop talk
Yeah.
later. So how is this showing up for you right now? And is this bringing a discomfort to it and saying, how am I moving through this? Is it more of a harsh energy? Is this more of a victim mindset? Or is this more of like an aggressive mindset? Or is it coming to a place where like I can sit with this energy and see like, what is it trying to show me right now? What is it it's trying to move me and shift me, right? Because that complacency, life becomes so complacent. If you think about it, it's like day to day, you do, the same routines. If you're in the same job every day, Monday through Friday, we become so complacent because that becomes our patterns. And our mind loves patterns, right? Our mind is all here for the patterns. That is literally what our subconscious is. It's working on those patterns, keeping us safe, keeping us in those patterns. So this energy is just so magnificent to come and help us shift. Like, what are the things in my life that need to shift? What needs to have that bit of a shock, a bit of a shake to get it to move, and that you can come to this place where you can lean into that intuitive knowing within you, tuning inside, tuning into your strategy and authority, and finding that beautiful intuitive knowledge within you, not what's going on outside of you or not what somebody else did in this situation. This is very individual. This is very unique, the way in which you're going to do this creative expression. And then you can step into and come to this place of awakening where you're changing the frequency, where you're able to transcend like that pattern of your mind of whatever that agitation is, where you can see the pattern and you can start to shift it instead of trying to, again, notice, say, like, really reflecting back on yourself, like, where am I numbing? Like, where am I running away or feeling the need to actually have to fix something rather than finding, the gift in the situation? Can you think of like an example of something in agitation?
Oh yeah, I can think of lots of them. I would think it's, and I almost made a joke about, of course you can't think of us of an agitation because you're Jess and I always, you know, the
Oh,
butterflies and the bows and I'm very much the agitation, in that gate 39, 38 energy, the 1-2 punch, all that sort of stuff um, but yeah, the agitation, if we think about it, if you have a washing machine, what cleans the clothes?
mm,
The agitation, right? And so yesterday, when I was feeling all kinds of ways, right? I was having all these things, and I knew I was like, there's something that is trying to come to the surface here. This is not something to fix. This is something to allow and to embrace and say, hell yeah, why am I feeling this agitation? Why am I feeling this? It started out very much as melancholy, you know, and it was not logical because it's not logical energy, but both of these gates are individual energy, right? But they're part of two different individual circuits. We have can you pull up your little screen share, dear?
I would love to.
Okay, so
I'd
we
be
have the 51 is on the will center, and it's the only gate on the will center that is individual energy, and it's also the only one that points to the self center, the G. So it's a very melancholy energy, and it's the only melancholy energy in the will center. And then we have the 57, which is over on the spleen, which is an awareness center. You know, the will is a motor, the spleen is an awareness center. And this is pointing up towards the throat and to the G. And it also has that sneaky little one that connects over there to the sacral, right? So it has all these potential electromagnetic connections. And there's so much insight that comes in through it. And my husband has the 34, he has the 10, he has the 20. So all of that comes through when I'm in aura with him, and I feel like I can tap into these insights. But then it also brings in all that melancholy with it, right? And because we also have that 2150 or 2551 connection over there, it's got this that's more melancholy. It's got this that, you know, we have the electromagnetic for the 2838, which is melancholy, you know, so there's a lot of melancholy in our relationship. And melancholy really needs to be allowed to process at its own, you know, it's like the slow cycle of the washing machine. Melancholy is like, you know, that low agitation. It's just there. It's just kind of swishing things around, right? And what we really need to do is we need to get to the end of it and probably get to the spin cycle before we can take the clothes out, right? Um, and so, but what we try to do is turn off the washer, and that's not going to work, right? I'm just totally making up this analogy on the fly
This
here.
is amazing. This is
Right?
perfection.
Right?
This is really hammering in the point.
Yeah.
Don't turn off the washing machine during the
Yeah,
agitation.
you can't even open the door if you turn
You
off the
can't.
washing machine before it spins, right? So you're
Don't
going to have clothes sitting in this water just like rotting.
Mhm.
So, and that's what happens. You can't open the door then, and your emotions and these feelings that need to come to the surface, we're trying to shut off the washing machine. And he, with those undefined solar plexus, they're really trying to turn it off, right? And so
Yep.
I'm like, let me go away and let me get to the spin cycle on my own, right? So, finding that way to really, you know, we talk about how we get these connections of energies in aura and we get them from the transits, but that's not the only way. That's how we taste them. That's how we know they exist. So that's what's so beautiful about these contemplations is we can then sit with the energy and contemplate it and basically call it in with our own $10 special psychic abilities, right? We can call in that energy of those open centers, open channels by simply contemplating, and that careful not to take it as thinking, because you're not going to think about this and fix it. You're going to call in that energy and be like, oh, I'm trying to integrate this, my gate 57, my core wound, this thing that makes me constantly feel these pains of rejection simply needs me to integrate all these things that I know, that I hear in my inner ear, that I feel intuitively, that need to be allowed to spin, right?
Mhm.
And not me run away. So I don't know if I've integrated all the things I had coming up yesterday, but I do find that I'm getting to know how to do those things for myself. For me to integrate as a triple split, it's really helpful for me to process, not ask advice, but process with multiple people. So I had a great time talking to you. That was very helpful. And I appreciated how you were able to allow my energy to not overwhelm your undefined solar plexus. And that was really beautiful to experience in that healthy expression to give me hope, right? Um, and then I had a wonderful conversation with my niece that was not at all human design informed type of thing, but just about the things because she's very, you know, she's trauma informed and she's, you know, has psychology informed and she's able to listen and mirror back and do all those things in a very natural way. So human design is not the only way to do these things. This is a way that has really worked for me, but there are other ways, And the biggest thing that this gate tells you is to trust, right? There's so much trust in this gate, and to not be afraid of that agitation, because that, I started to say, they're two different circuits. We've got the integrative circuit, which is all on, it's kind of funky because if you can put your little thing back up again, the integrative circuit is all on one side of the body graph. So it doesn't really move energy all around and stuff. It just is so it's, the channel from the 57 up to the throat, and then those two little side jaunts as well, right? So it takes it to the 10, to the um, identity center, and then down to the 34 as well. So it's integrating all this awareness, right? And it's taking this in the moment energy of gate 34, this powerful, the most powerful gate on the sacral. It's the gate of power. And it's integrating that with the knowing and gentleness of the now. And it's taking this love of self, and it's integrating that with this in the knowing now. And it's taking this energy of being present, right? This gate 20 energy, and incorporating that with this knowing and gentle energy in the now. So that's really all about you doing it this is for us, like it's individual and are very much for us. But the knowing circuit is what 25, 50, no, 20, that's not what it is. I just lost the name of it. It's the, tell me the name. I have it. It's in my ajna. The name of that circuit is the centering circuit. Centering circuit. So think about that. Think about what centering means. What does it mean to get centered? Okay. We know that from anybody who meditates. You heard Joe Dispenza say, find your center, right? And so if you think about that, that's really this grounding energy of just, you already know. You don't need to integrate anything in that energy. That's just this like deep inner trust, wisdom type of energy. I don't know. Is that, you got anything to respond to any of that? I feel like I'm going to pause here.
Right here. Yep. I think it's so important to notice the different circuitry within it and how it all interplays together.
And the 1034 is part of both.
And really coming back to, again, I think the biggest thing from all of this is allowing yourself to move through it from a place of that gentleness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Place of love and understanding, especially with that we're all wired in a different way. So it's like that additional layer. It's not just that the gates are different in our activations of where we have them in our charts. It's also, what is that circuitry? Are you more in integrative? Are you more even with the abstract and the logic, for all the different parts in your chart, and being gentle and coming back to this individual, finding that creative expression that's unique to you, really coming back to that. It's how does it work best for you in your body in this place of love, that you can come to that intuitive knowing. But it's very hard to connect with that intuition within yourself when your nervous system is in that heightened state, when you are numbing and you are forever stuck in this agitation cycle because you won't let it happen, right? And so this is where we come back to that piece of that surrendering. And that I'm still sitting here like, that is so amazing. That washing machine was so utterly perfect, because this is the stuff in you. It's those lower level frequencies that you're here to move and wash out, so you can get to that place of awakening where you get to that higher frequency, where you start to be aware and you start to be present, and you're washing this out, and that it's just part of the experience, right? It's not something to hide from, it's not something to avoid, leaning into it.
Yeah.
your own unique way. Yeah.
And our body is what, 70% water? I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what they've always said. But there's a lot of water in there. And so, and we're learning so much about the power and the memory of water, right? And so when we are having like a big shift, like an energetic shift, we have to get rid of a lot of that old water that has the old memory. And we have to hydrate
Mhm.
and we have to cry,
Mhm.
pee, we have to sweat, right? All of these things have to happen. And so I'm sorry, if you don't allow yourself to cry, you're just going to pee and sweat more. So just go cry and get it out,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Because it's all that memory of who you used to be
Mhm.
so that you can now be who you're becoming, right?
Is it so much who you used to be, or potentially even who you thought you had to be? And
I
then
think it's both.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
letting go of that. And I just want to bring also awareness to it's funny you're like, "Oh, you don't have agitation." But I started the morning with yoga, and at the end of the session I was just tearing, and there was something there wasn't anything specific, but it was just like a tearing. It was just a releasing because we did a lot of, the twisting, and I feel like
Mhm.
it's that cycle. It's like helping that cycle of
Yeah.
cleaning where it's twisting all of whatever's in your body that needs to come up and move. And that in yoga, I sat there and I teared up. And then I told her at the end, I was like, that was beautiful. She's like, that's so beautiful. We moved, like something moved,
Right.
right? And celebrating and being in those spaces where it's just natural to cry. And it's a natural part of, moving through this process and allowing yourself and giving yourself, maybe it's not yoga for you, maybe you don't, whatever that looks like for you to move your body and to move that energy within you as well, and allowing, right? Allowing
And
that
I
crying.
think, look at how many people, I'm not trying to play doctor or anything, and but look how many people have hip issues and have to have hip replacements or they have hip fractures, and the hips hold so much emotion. And so, when we release that whole area, however, in whatever kind of movements, even if it's just, I've started seeing, YouTube algorithms will just start showing you someone new. And I keep seeing these shorts from a woman, I don't even know her name. Um, but she keeps talking about how people used to not sit in chairs. They used to if you were going to have a conversation, if you think about, you'd see the pictures of people around a fire and they're all just squatting down, right? They have their weight on their feet and their butt is almost to the ground, but it's not. And they're sitting like that for hours in this squat position and their hips open, their knees are really, and so the strong legs and how, um, you know, we maybe aren't connecting to those places in ourselves, these really, like we underestimate the strength and the potential of our body. And I have been feeling a deep call from my body to start reconnecting. And I don't know what that looks like. And I'm trying not to mental it all out. But there's definitely, some stuff in there that I feel I'm trying to just like hear, with my intuition and get called into and not try to fix it immediately. Because in the past I would have been like, that's it. I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna da 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 and I'm gonna power my way through it. And that gate 51 that we were talking about. That's why I stopped doing group fitness. I think I was telling you about this. I
Mhm.
used to, with my defined will, with that hanging gate 51, but in a defined will and my undefined solar plexus, I would get in a group setting and I'd amplify all that sacral
Your
energy.
undefined solar
My
plexus?
not solar plexus, undefined sacral. Sorry.
Okay, I was like, wait, what?
Oh, no, 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 I'm very much defined.
Yeah,
Solar plexus. I got that 3955. You felt it yesterday. Um, but the 51 is all about, it's, the design, that channel is the design to be first, right? That's what the 5125 is known as, the design to be first or
Yeah,
something.
the 5121 is initiation. Yeah.
5125. Yeah, is the channel of initiation, but it's known as the design.
Designed to needing to be first. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just right. meant to be first or something like that. And so like I'd be like, I am not a super athletic person. Even when I'm in my best physical condition, I am just okay, right? And I'm not in any way shaming myself, but I'm just not an athlete. That's not how and we'd get in a group fitness class and then they're going to go, okay, we're going to do suicides. And literally, I would be the person who would die before I would let myself come in last because I still am so traumatized from, getting made fun of in grade school for not being an athlete. But so there's so much competition in that gate that need to win. And I still am very competitive when it comes to give me a challenge, like say, okay, whoever gets the most blah blah blah, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna do this. I will and I don't like beat myself up if I lose, but I'm very determined to win. So there's that energy. But that being gentle with yourself is the part that was often, you know, has taken a while to really get a hang of. And I noticed I wanted to comment, Deanne says, my husband completed the 51 and 20, 5125 channel. So I think you're, Deanne, I think you're saying that he has one gate and you have the other. Um, and then you said, I have the 5720 complete channel, still learning what this may mean. Yeah. And that's the whole thing is like, no one can tell you what it means because it's going to mean something different in every relationship and in every person, right? Ooh, the disco ball oracle's on me. This must be important. Do you see the light on my face now? It's
I
not on
do,
my,
I do.
it's not on my mouth yet. So I guess I haven't spoke the gold yet.
I think the question there, so she has 57, 20, 57, 10, 57, 34. So I assume all of these are activated even more. Um, do you mean by the transit that we're experiencing? So normally when we're going through a transit that you have, it potentially, depending on your awareness and your connection with yourself and your flow, it feels a little bit more like, okay, this is an energy I know versus a transit that you don't have. And then, or potentially just saying how you have all of these activated so that it does. So what she's speaking to, let me share right here. Because it's so hard sometimes when you're just saying numbers. I remember when I started, I was
Right.
like, what do you mean? What are these numbers? So right here, so she has this full channel right here and with the 10 and the 34. So it's not necessarily that it's activated more, it's just that you have consistent access to this energy, to this activation. And so that's where it flows for you, if
I'm
that makes
still not seeing all of her comments, I guess, because I don't see that comment. Um,
She said, letting go of who I thought I had to be. Yes, yes.
yep, still not seeing that. Hmm.
And stepping into who I'm meant to be for me, celebrating that. That's beautiful. I
Yeah,
don't believe I ever felt safe to be my true self as a child.
yeah,
Absolutely. And that's so true for so many people, whether that's at school, how you're told, or in the home environment, or just other children, or just, in our experiences and looking back at, what were the stories that we created in those encounters.
yeah.
It's not sure what it means when in transit. So what it means when it's in transit is so the chart I brought up earlier, this is the activations we have currently collectively that we're all feeling. So where the sun is sitting right now, the sun is sitting in 51, right? And that's like 70% of like what we're feeling, we're experiencing, but it's not us. It doesn't ever change like who we are and the energy that's flowing within us, right? It's like, oh, I'm getting to try and I'm feeling a little bit of this, but noticing it's not me. And that's the same kind of thing like when you interact with someone and you can feel a bit of their energy, but really coming to this place of like, what's me? What's them? And a beautiful practice that I love to do is, what do I feel? Where do I feel it? Is it mine? Is this me?
Hmm.
Is it somebody else's? Especially that undefined solar plexus is all about picking up all the things. Is it someone else's? Or is this collective? Is this something collectively that we're feeling? So collectively right now, we're all feeling that 51. And when you have that 51 in your chart already, again, depending, it shows up differently for everyone. And that's why it's the experiment, right? Like, how does this, the question is, how does this show up? And starting to notice for yourself, how is shock showing up for you right now? And I actually really love to read the different lines. So we have line 1, which is reference. And so this is gate 51. Then we have line 2, withdrawal. Line 3, adaptation, which Kathy spoke to before. You're shining. Line 4, limitation. Line 5 is symmetry. And then line 6 is separation. So noticing how this goes through that whole progression to move you from that place of complacency, to move something in your life, to bring that shock, to
And I
bring.
wanted, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to add, just for those who are new to the transits, a good way to think of it is if you look at your chart and you look at just the personality side, that's what the transits were for that moment in time. That's where the planet placements were. So if a baby was born right now, what we're talking about is the transit energy, is the energy that would be, you know, coding their personality crystal. So it's this strong energy in the atmosphere right now, and it's impacting all of our auras, but it's not us, as Jess said. So, I also will, when this is all done, I'll drop in the comments. I have a blog post that I wrote about, starting to work with the transits. And I've said a few times, when I started to blog my way through the transits, start about 6 months ago now, it's been one of the most powerful self-awareness exercises that I have done, because it really helps me to look at, like, for example, even gates where I have them, sometimes that's even more powerful because I have them. I've been my whole life under knowing I have this energy, but not necessarily understanding it. So contemplating it and seeing the low expression of it and the high expression, and feeling where it's coming from and feeling it intensify with this layering on, especially if it's something like, the further up on our chart that the planets are, the closer they're in, the more they impact us. They're considered personal planets. And excuse me. And the lower ones are called generational planets. They impact people, more people, because they don't change as often. So when we have something that's in a generational planet, like for example, I have my 51 is defined by Jupiter. Okay, that's pretty far out still. That's more, it's my design Jupiter. So that's an unconscious energy. It's a further away planet. Right now, it's being defined by the sun, which is 70% of the neutrino stream that we're feeling. So it's an intensification of this energy that I unconsciously have carried my whole life. And it gives me a really good lens to understand that about myself on a deeper way, on a deeper level. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a good, it takes some time. I mean, last night I started to try to write my blog, and I was like, I'm not in the right place to do this, and I'm just going to have to let it sit and be gentle with myself and wait until I'm ready to really have the energy to be 51. Really, anything, I started to say this before, the 51 is on the will center, and the will center works to rest. And if it's not rested, it's not working. And so that's when we just really, burn ourselves out. So me trying to use my willpower that was not rested, um, to push through and do this just because I want to have it done is not going to be the way to create something that's truly meaningful for me or anybody else. So it'll be done when it's done. And I don't know if it's going to get done today, because I got to be ready to go to Austin tomorrow and I got other stuff to do. So I might write it on the plane. Who knows?
As a triple split, that might be the most beautiful space, right? On the plane or
Yeah.
in the airport. Yeah,
Sitting in
absolutely.
a middle seat or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Start a good conversation, right? Yeah.
Right.
And the thing I love that you brought up again, because it is the will center is that motor, and noticing like, am I using this resource? Am I using this like battle cry, this battle energy, like I'm ready to go, this willpower to push, or coming back to, am I following my strategy and authority? Is this aligned for me? Is this aligned energy? And is there that place where this is like, I'm having that time to rest? It's not like a motor, like this is like to go, 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 right? Using it in an aligned way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing with the transits that's been so beautiful is that there's so many gates, right? There's 64 gates. And it can be overwhelming to go, I'm going to deeply dive into all of them. And sometimes when you go through them, the first time I did it, I went through like numerologically, like 1 through 64, and it just didn't feel right. So to have something where there's like this piece of structure where we have the transits that change every 6 days, and to be able to really deeply dive into like, not what is just the knowledge, what's the name of it, what is the text I've read, like how am I experiencing this, how does this feel in my body? And then also, because it's not just the 64 gates, it's also the 6 lines, like noticing the progression through it. How does it change when you start in that base level? You start on that first line to where you get to the 6th line, like Kathy was saying, because that's starting to get you ready for what that next activation is. And how does that feel inside of me? So,
And I'll
yeah.
say if anybody's interested in going through the transits, using them in this way, it's really helpful to have a good reference to do that. And there are great, like this is a great the Ravi Ching is something that's good for a short little reference. But if you want something that really goes in depth, the Mandala of Life, I think it's called, which Denise Matthews' book, she goes in the order of the transits and she goes through each line, and it's very it's really a great resource. I have it on Kindle, so I don't usually pull it out when we're talking because I'm like, well, my devices are doing different things. So that's why I usually have this one here. But real quick, I do want to read the lines for the 57 also, since, but we're okay, so gate 57, there are the 6 lines. Oh, so it's called the extraordinary power of clarity, the gentle, that's what's referred to. So gate 1 is confusion. I mean, line 1 is confusion. Line 2 is cleansing. Line 3 is acuteness. Line 4 is the director. Line 5 is progression. And line 6 is utilization. And so as you look at what line you have it in, really sitting with what does it mean to have line 1 confusion, where, how do I make sense of that? That is really like sitting in the confusion. It's the foundation of intuition, is to be able to not need that certainty, to be able to really sit in that, right? In that energy. So really, because we're already over time now, I'm not going to go through each one because we talked about washing machines and peach ice cream and stuff. So, but I really enjoyed all of this, and I don't know if anybody has any closing thoughts or questions or comments.
Deanne asked, she said, gate 57-4 is my unconscious sun, 51-4 is my unconscious earth. Not sure what that means. So that's just your unconscious. That's your, it's like 88 days after before
Before.
your birth date. Yeah, thank you. Before your birth date. So the design, I normally do it the other way. The personalities after. So the design, it's just the energy that was present for that time. And your unconscious, Ross speaks to that like a tunnel. And when you start with it, you never know really what's coming because it's that unconscious aspect too. That's that body knowledge. And so your sun is your energy, like you're radiating out, right? And then your earth is that grounding energy on your unconscious side. So you have the personality side and then you have the design side, which is the unconscious side. The personality side is something you're just like you're more familiar with. It's the energy that you have on that more conscious connection. But as you start to tune inwards, you start to become more familiar with what's going on that unconscious side.
Yeah. And I know I've seen Dee's chart, but I don't remember what your incarnation cross is. Those are two gates of your incarnation cross. So that's something that you can look into. And I will also say, if anybody who's listening is curious about things like what is my incarnation cross? What does it mean? I have a free report that you can get at kathybochonko.com. When you run your chart, it's called Meet Your Chart. It's part of your Ultimate Human Design Guide to Radical Self-Trust. It's the introduction edition, and it has a section that talks to you about your incarnation cross, which is basically those four gates. They're the strongest gates in your design. So understanding them is something that you experiment with, and you'll read different descriptions of the incarnation cross. And 8 years later, I'm still finding my own description of my cross. Now, the fact that my cross is the left angle cross of uncertainty might explain why I've not been certain what it is the whole time. But you sit with the energy and you feel what it really means to you, because there are so many nuances that impact how it shows up for you. This is not meant to be like, here, this is you, read it and now do it. It's meant to be, here are some energies, some archetypes that you have strong connection with. But like if I said you are a princess, Jess, which Disney princess are you? It doesn't say that. It just says you're a princess, right? You could be Princess Aurora, or you could be Jasmine. They're very different. So, right?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is human design again is about that self-exploration. It's a tool for self-exploration. It's never here to tell you who you are, right?
Right.
It's here for you to help uncover who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has been awesome, but I got a lot of stuff to do today. So, um, it's been lovely. Any thanks for joining us. Peace out, everybody. Look, my balloons are doing weird stuff.